Hi, so I'm testing a new setup because I'm traveling a lot and I want to take something with me so I can do podcasts. This week I'm going to Venice on Wednesday and I don't know yet if I'm going to take my computer. I know this background is not great filmmaking, but it's meant to be a podcast anyway. So I have my little lapel mic and I have my iPhone. I think with that we're in business. So I just came back from yoga. I didn't have time to stretch before, which was kind of annoying. I like to stretch every morning. It's my new thing. But this time I just went to yoga. Cold, but it was great. It was really good. So I wanted to talk to you about, again, relationships. I've been thinking about this some more. You know, I wrote that relationship manifesto, which some of you might have listened to. It's only on my podcast, so you need to go to my podcast and on my website, adventuresofbarbarella.com. So you need to head over there, podcasts. It's on iTunes and also on Luminary Media, if you are on Luminary Media. And that's a bit of introduction, mentioning the death of my grandma, who was really, really close to me. She was like my mom, basically. And then I wrote something that I called a relationship manifesto, which is basically a letter to myself with some rules and regulations on what I now need from a relationship. And I tried to be very blunt on purpose. And it's very unlike me to request all of these behavioral qualities, which is precisely why I wanted to do it. So it's not that I am a brat and I have all these requests that are completely out of proportion with what I give. First of all the requests that I wrote on that list are things that I already give to the relationship. So I'm not being a hypocrite about it. But second of all, I've just realized that I wasn't expecting anything back, that I just go into relationships. And this came to me, I think, because I lost my mother and I feel so exposed and I feel like nobody's taking care of me, and nobody is taking care of me since I was, really forever. Nobody ever has taken care of me. From the age of kind of 12 onwards that I didn't live with my grandma anymore. So even though we didn't live together anymore, it was always something, her spirit was something that I had, that it just made me feel nurtured in a way, and it made me feel like I still had so much to learn. And I was planning to, introduce her to my family when I have one, or she hasn't really gotten to know most of my boyfriends. She did meet one, which I'm really happy about because he was really special to me. He was my first boyfriend. And they only met 2 years ago, so it took me a while to introduce them. Anyway, I just felt something clicked in my head, and I just felt like I've changed and I need to be a lot more focused with my time and what I want. And am I lying to myself? Because I found out that I'm not getting, when you get something from a job or a relationship, you need to get a good emotion out of it, as well as anything superficial or more physical that you might be getting. So I realized that I was looking for qualities in men and women, but let's just focus on men for now. I look for qualities such as a skill set, or how they behave with other people, or what they have produced, what they have made, what lifestyle they live. And I never look at how that interacts with my life. And it just clicked in my head that more often than not, the reason why I am unhappy with my relationships is because there's no impact on my life. There's no interaction between that skill set that that person may have, that lifestyle that that person may have, and my life. So I'll give you an example. One of my things in my manifesto, one of the points, is I want this man to like to do the activities that I like doing and who wants to do them with me. That's a very important distinction, because if you have a man who likes to do everything you like doing but he doesn't want to talk about it with you or engage on that with you, you don't share that, then what's even the point? Or if, for example, I like a man who travels, but then I've been with men who travel and they never want to actually travel with me. Now, what I like doing is, if I'm with someone, be it a friend or a relationship or whatever, I want to be able to share my life on some level. So you need to think about these things, and I've realized that that's important for me. So I've written it down. It's just been about writing down the things that are important that I didn't realize that were. And map it out, really. And I only really wrote it for myself. But then, I'm an artist. I produced something that I think is of value. I might as well share it. That's what being an artist is about, right? Contribution. And contribution is one thing that I have been really thinking about, which is why I'm doing podcasts and more videos and more stuff, because when you're gone, that's what you've got, and that's as far as you've gotten, is what you've produced and what you've been able to give to people. And my whole life has been about wanting to give to people. Sometimes those people didn't want to receive, but I am most definitely a giver. And I am a giver of pretty physical stuff. Ever since I was a little girl, I've been making stuff with my hands, like crafts. And then I made music that I could give. And I can't really give music anymore because you don't make records, so I can only put it out there, which is not ideal. But I can give, other things. I'm giving jewelry now. I made this pendant, which is a very magical piece of jewelry. So I always have something to give. And yeah, so I just wanted to give you this little intro explanation to the relationship manifesto and maybe go a little deeper into things, because I showed it to a few people. I showed it to a few friends. What feedback did I have from my internet female community? So the feedback from my female community, I think, was good, positive, because you guys generally get me and you know where I'm coming from. And you've listened to so many other things that I've done that you already know about me. But then I sent it to, don't think I sent it to my friend John. I showed it to my friend Isabel, and without any introduction, because she knows me since I was 5 years old. So she knows that I'm quite a bossy person. And that's the thing, when I am in a relationship, when I actually am with a person, I'm very vocal, and I really do require certain things, and in the same way that I offer them, but like I say things. And often if I am not officially in a relationship, that I don't say anything, well, then that doesn't let that possible relationship advance. But anyway, my friend, so she knows me really well. She knows my track record. She's known me, as I said, since I was a child. So she's seen how I've progressed and what I've done, and we still really get along. It's such a great friendship. I mean, I absolutely adore her. She's also the most beautiful girl in the world. I was so in love with her when I was a little girl. I think I creeped her out at one point. But anyway, she thought that I was being a little bit too harsh and that I was requiring a bit too much. But I haven't really explained to her where I'm coming from. She hasn't seen quite the extent of the disaster of my usual relationships. So, yeah. But she agreed with many points. And others, she said it was fine as long as I was kind of giving something also in exchange. But that's the whole point. The whole point of writing it is because I find myself in situations where I am giving everything and not receiving anything. That's established. That's like the starting point. So you need to know that about me, that I'm a very giving person, I'm a really generous person. And that's why I need to kind of make sure that I'm getting emotionally something out of it. And I'm not talking about material things, I'm talking emotionally. Like, I want to feel loved and stability and safe and all that stuff. It's all about feeling safe for me right now because I feel so exposed. What was I gonna say? And then I showed it to my guitarist friend Andres, and he has a bit of marital issues. He found it super harsh. He's the first man that I show it to. I wasn't really going to show this to men because I thought they're just not gonna get it. They're just not gonna get where I'm coming from. They're going to imagine all the worst things. And indeed, the problem for him is that he never gets anything from women. So for me to write this huge list of things, it's like that's the only thing he ever gets is requests like that, but he never gets anything in exchange, or like, you know, he never gets anything back. So I get it, and I was trying to explain it to him, but he just felt really disheartened by the whole thing, because he gets these requests from women who don't even actually love him. So, you know, it's just a different situation. It makes you realize it's all about perspective. It's all about the experiences that someone has, where they're coming from. You can't understand things, and that's why philosophy is so hard to understand, because you really have to read the bibliography of whoever's writing and know what they've been through to understand why they're saying what they're saying and what they mean. In the topic of relationships, I feel like there's being a transition. I feel like there's being a change. I think because of this whole feminism thing, where people are really confused, because on one hand, well, you have the people who are really radical, let's say, that really don't understand the point of female being equal. And I'm not even going to engage there because I don't agree. The whole female power and females are better and only female blah blah blah. It's just, I don't like the way that they are constructing that. Then there's the people who are radically against this feminism wave, who honestly I don't even think that they know what they want. They see that and they disagree with it, but the reasons why they disagree with it is because they're a bit sexist against women, to be honest. That's what I'm getting. They don't make very intelligent arguments, the people who are against this wave of feminism, in my opinion. Or maybe they just haven't had experiences that would make them qualified to make those arguments, in my opinion. And then there's the people like me who take both sides. I see it. And then I'm just realizing that nobody's getting what they want. It's certainly not about fighting. it's certainly not about more male energy. I think we all need more female energy in terms of we need to be more nurturing, we need to be more understanding, we need to be more artistically creative, we need to have less limits. All of these qualities are feminine qualities. We need to have more beauty in our relationships. Yeah, where am I going with that? And I think we're all realizing that we were better off being kind to one another and just, trying to be sweet and nice, and that building a family is actually a value that is to be respected. And maybe because of this whole Me Too thing, awareness have been raised, even though I don't like how it's been handled, but they are saying some things, and even though they're not saying them in the way that I would like them to say them, they are saying things that happen and that are true, like, the time women spend doing women things, and the fact that we go to work and we're expected to wear heels and be in our makeup and have a certain grooming, all these basic things that I've been saying forever, and that people just didn't, it's still kind of not paying attention to it, but it's beginning to be talked about at least. It's a transition space. Because it's still a bit like, oh, I don't want to mention that because it's supposed to be effortless, like being a woman. The whole magic of being a woman is it's effortless. It's like we're born this way and we wake up like this. That's kind of where it's what you want to achieve by doing all these feminine things. Once you uncover that veil, it's just kind of like, yeah, we're all the same. Of course it was a mirage. Of course it was just grooming. But it's not nice to talk about it, because if you're going to talk about it, then it's like, why even bother? But on the other hand, you kind of do need to know about it. Like, everybody kind of needs to know about it, because it's part of your day and it's part of your life and it's your time, it's your money, it's everything. So I don't know. It's at the moment it's kind of in between. I feel like all of these things are starting to be respected, and I do want them to be respected, but at the same time I want them to keep being as quiet as possible, because I don't want it to be about that. And at the same time, I've realized that, I don't know if this is connected with the way things are at all, but I've become a lot more natural. And I have embraced, or maybe, it's me getting older as well, just learning what's important and what's not. But I have, as you know, embraced my natural look so much more. And not only my look, embraced what I naturally feel like doing and loving and requiring, and my life, what I want to do with my life. Everything has become just more natural, and I'm accepting that ease of not forcing things, not forcing a relationship where the guy doesn't love me back, not forcing a friendship where we just can't meet halfway, not forcing political, religious beliefs. Everything in my life is more natural. And everything physical is more natural. Like, I'm using more natural cleaning products. I'm much more ecological, much more into sustainability, much more into farmers markets and getting energy from the sun, and like just doing those little things that as animals we should be doing. Like, you're in the sun for an hour, and I think about these things now. I'm getting vitamin D, and my hair is getting a little bit lighter, and I don't use any heat on my hair at all. This is air dried, which is crazy. If you had told me 4 years ago that I was going to be this natural, like right now on my face, I'm only wearing kohl liner inside my eye and maybe a bit of mascara and lipstick. But like, I'm so natural, it's crazy. And my nails are completely natural. I don't do anything to my nails. And I look at fabrics when I buy clothing. I've always looked at fabrics, but now I think about plastics a lot. And I always was against plastics since 2000, and nobody was talking about that back then. And I kept saying, polyester, plastic fabrics, plastic stuff. I don't like plastic. I've never been into that trend. There was a trend for a long time where everything plastic was cool, and they were making handbags and just like everything, and to buy stuff really cheap was cool. I don't think it's that cool anymore. I think it's now more about investments and more about who I always have been, really. So that's really cool. I went on a massive tangent there. What was I gonna say? I think I've told you everything I want to say really about relationships as an introduction to my post. I think men and women are starting to see the value in each other, and I think women are we're all starting to see the value in women, which is really important, because women themselves are starting to see the value in women. And I certainly it's not that I didn't see the value before, but I'm currently really kind of trying to focus on my relationships with women. And I don't know if this is connected to my grandma again, because it's just such a huge female force. And I admire that force so much, and I want to be that force and bring that to the world. And I've just realized, I need to get together with more women and really try to see how I can save it and make the most out of it without just rejecting it. Because a lot of the time what I've done is if there was something that I didn't like about women or me, myself, the way I was, or I just tried to blame it on being female, and ended up trying to be more like men, or just hanging out with men. Like if a woman was being really difficult about meeting up, which we are, I was just like, fuck it, I'll just meet my guy friend. And I'm just really trying to make an effort to be nice and look at girls in the eye, and starting more conversations than I absolutely need to, and appreciating. And also I think it's the fact that I've opened myself professionally a lot, and I'm producing different things. So I'm not only in music anymore, which is 100% men, pretty much what I get to meet, and I'm now meeting a lot more women, and it's just so nice. And I think there's a whole fluctuation on things right now, and it's helping us all, and it's helping the world, and it's helping the way we see family life, in terms of giving us more freedom if we want a family or if we don't want a family. It gives us more freedom, and freedom is a good thing. So I'm going to end this there. If you're interested, which you should be, you could read my relationship manifesto and tell me what you think. And please subscribe to this channel, because it really helps me and it makes me so happy. And if you find my podcast name is Ad Libitum, which is a Latin word. It means, what does it mean? It's something related to pleasure, the value of taking pleasure for things. But in a more intellectual sense, I think it's not so much about just pure hedonism. At least that's not how I interpret it. And you can find it on Luminary Podcast. I'll put all the links down below. You can follow me on Instagram as well, Adventures of Barbarella. And I'm using my Instagram more than anything just to announce new things that I have going on in my podcast or blog posts. I'm not really using it as a place for content so much anymore. I would rather put content in my channels. It's just, I can't deal with Instagram algorithms, adverts. I've started unfollowing people en masse because I realized that I literally don't get to see any of the people that I follow, that I want to follow in my feed. It's all sponsor posts and companies. And that's it. And also they're being really harsh about advertising yourself. Like I was liking a lot of things the other day because I thought, I need to engage myself more. I need to not lurk so much. I need to be more present in Instagram if I want my brand to be seen. So I was not doing anything crazy, but just I was liking and commenting the people that I like, that I'm seeing, instead of just being invisible and not saying anything. And they blocked my account. And they have been doing that consistently. So every time that I kind of want to engage with people, they tell me that I'm doing too many likes or whatever, and they action blocked. And then they block my account for one day. So if I cannot even do that on Instagram anymore, it's like, what's even the point? It's just, the world right now is pure censorship. I mean, you think you're living in a democracy, and all this Brexit propaganda, it's unreal. These people actually think that they are doing this for democracy, for a democracy, within a democracy. This is no longer a democracy. Democracy started to fight totalitarianism, to fight censorship, for freedom of expression, for freedom, basically. Look at the world around you. There is no freedom. We are spied. Our actions are blocked. We don't hear anything except propaganda in our news and media, and we accept it because we actually enshrine advertisements nowadays. If somebody knows how to advertise himself, we admire that person. We admire gangster behavior. I don't know what this is. It's not authoritarian yet. It's certainly not democratic either. All that we are ever allowed to vote on are purposely things that are meant to be divisive for us. So they only let us vote on things that they know will divide us as a population. And usually just two things. It's either black or white, yes or no. There's never any gradients. It's happening in every country in the world. Like in Spain, it's like, and both options are evil. There's the extreme, radical, super option of let's have a dialect. And then there's the other super extreme, crazy person, and you're like, who the hell am I voting for? And they all kind of work together in the end anyway. And the environment politically is so toxic that anybody that can work in that environment is going to be a psychopath by default. So by default, the system that we are now living in can only give us psychopaths, because nobody except a psychopath would want to work under these rules on those conditions, because that's just how it is. And you can't change the game until you win the game, but without changing the game, it's really effing hard to get anywhere, to get good people in the game, basically, because good people are, I think, living outside cities by now. It's just like life is impossible. I would like to live by myself in a farm already, and I'm the most city person you can think of. Anyway, that got a bit long, but I had a lot to say. What can I tell you? So make sure you're following me if you like me, or if you want to be involved in conflict with me too. You also need to follow me, otherwise you'll miss my rants and you won't be able to disagree with me. Hope you're well. If you want to see also my new jewelry concept, that is happening all at suleciel.com. Very beautiful name. That means under the sky or under heaven. It's kind of like heaven sent. I like it. Anyway, I'll speak to you later. Goodbye.